smoked them.
There's a pond nearby, so we just kind of skirted around the pond just to happen to see if maybe he was there, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Did you find any beds at all?
No beds yet.
So I guess probably what I would want to do is take a look at the video and give you my opinion on what maybe happened or what's going on. Go about what I know and kind of base it off of that.
Certainly. Well, why don't I send you the text of the video right now? Take a look at it and give me a shout back. Let me know what you think.
Okay. Yep, no problem.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Bye-bye. Well, guys, it's a few hours past the last time I gave you an update. Right around 12 noon, we've been on the phone this morning looking for some options to increase our chances to find this deer. Aaron's been talking to some local folks he knows, some friends of his he knows. We contacted the Missouri Fish and Wildlife officer for the area. And in the state of Missouri, they actually allow blood tracking dogs to be introduced into the situation. And so through some friends, we've got a gentleman making his way over here, and we are going to do our dangdest to get this deer turned up. He reviewed the footage, and he's driving an hour and a half or so, which I would think, based on what he saw, there's enough there to give him some hope that we'll find it. You know, we tracked until 5 a.m. Now we are moving on to the next step. With any luck, you know, we'll find it, number one, and number two, the meat's going to be good. Like, that's what I care about more than anything, is the meat. In these states that allow dogs, I'm a huge fan of it, a proponent of it. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know there's generally different rules for every state, but if it's a legal means to recover an animal and it can increase our percentage chance of making that happen, then I'm gonna do it every time. So we just feel the dog's the best bet right now. Doug's going to be here probably in another hour and a half or so. Basically, you contact the Fish and Wildlife officer. You let him know what you're doing, where you're at. Again, guys, this is the reality of hunting. Aaron and I were talking about this, and it's a touchy subject. Like, do you edit it out and not show it? Makes you look better. I know that's a fact. Or do you just show it? Because that's what happened. As terrible as it is to be the hunter in the situation, it's what happened. You know, I didn't take a willy-nilly kind of a shot, squeezed off on my release, and he just kind of moved right at the end there, and those few little inches here and there make a big difference when you're bow hunting. We're down again, but we're not out. We're going to try to remain optimistic. It's a little easier to do so when you have Greg and Aaron over your shoulder telling you that we're going to find him.
I was gonna go up to my tree stand just to check it, check the trail cams, just see what's going on, but I decided, heck, why not take the bow just in case. With that, I had to take a whole heap of warm clothing. So this thing is chock full, tree stand harness, cameras, you name it, just in case there's a shooter buck on a tree stand. But I wanted to weigh this backpack before I went up there. By myself, 181.2. That's heavy. Too heavy for a day hunt. 240. 60-pound backpack. What the crap? I got salt in there and stuff. That's probably what's heavy. Taking the e-bike, thank goodness, but there's still a 45-minute hike to the stand. Guys, I try to pack light, I promise. Stuff just adds up. I got the bike. I need to put some air in the tires. Taking the Rambo bike. Oh, which I gotta replace the new battery. Can't forget that. This thing is a beast. Gonna get this bike down and head up. This is the first time I've ever accessed my tree stand this way, so I'm gonna use my OnXhunt app to track my track and track the time, most importantly, because if I'm gonna hunt this in the morning or even the evenings, I really need to know how long it's gonna take me to get from point A to point B, so that way I can figure out, you know, when to leave my house, what time I need to get here, and what time I need to start my hike to get in my stand in the proper time. It is 1:29 p.m. I'm gonna make sure the OnX map gets me dialed in, and then I'm gonna start the tracker on it. So here we go. Here we go. Just made it. Just made it. The whole trip was, I don't know, 40 minutes or so with the bike ride to here with a little bike ride on the trail. But I'm gonna get my bow off because walking through these pines, could see a deer very, very easily. And if so, I'd like to be ready. Release. Rangefinder out in my pocket. Probably a 45-minute hike up to the stand. Hike begins. I got the GoPro mounted to my stabilizer, so if I see something or try to shoot at something, at least we'll have this point of view.
How's it going, man? Brian.
Doug, nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Come on in.
Greg's filming over there.
Sorry for the lights.
You know Shane Simpson?
I don't. He's part of the United Blood Trackers, which
Okay.
we're belong to there, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we run a YouTube channel called The Hunting Public.
I think I subscribe to it, and I do some traveling for work, so
Oh, nice.
I listen to it once in a while, but I,
Yeah,
put some names with faces, I guess. But
sure. Yeah, and Brian their brand is called Hush, and
Okay.
they have a huge YouTube following as well. And we're gonna film the whole thing if that's cool with you.
Yeah,
That could
sounds
give
good,
you
Doug.
guys some good exposure.
yeah, I'm concerned about the penetration.
Yeah.
I'd like to. Yeah, if we got a better
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, sure. Sit down.
You got it all pulled up there.
Check it out here. Greg will get you all squared away if you want.
Here, we'll turn that up so you
Camera
can
move
hear
a
it
little
too. Right there's impact.
Yeah, so it seems to be, so there's the
Right.
white line right here. That is an area close to that stomach that I was talking about, but if the blood you were seeing wasn't consistent with it, you may have gotten liver, and liver will kill much faster than that stomach. But you weren't finding any blood that looked like lung blood.
Didn't
Nothing
see any-
oxygenated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it should be pink and bubbly, and
Mm-mm.
yeah, there's not a lot in there. Well, I'm concerned with why it didn't go. Hitting there it should have zipped right through him. And we see some deflection, on larger cutting blades. Sometimes when they hit the rib, or normally it's not like directly square with the deer like that we see much. But on an angled quartering shot with a large expandable, it sometimes can open quicker than getting inside the rib cage, and it glances down more on the outside of the rib cage.
We're hoping like, oh, he'll be in that cedar thicket,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's where it was like hands, knees.
Right.
But anyways, gives you an
We'll
idea.
get on it and give it our best.
Do you want to just follow us? It's
Yeah.
about 15 minutes.
That'd be fine.
Or we're going to go try to get permission from this old boy if we can walk through his place to get back here.
Yeah.
If not, then we'll boat him. And we're getting ready to go back out tracking again. We tracked this thing till what, 4 this morning?
4:30.
Came back, got a little bit of rest, and called the United Blood Trackers. And one of our friends, Shane Simpson, actually does a lot of blood tracking with his dog, Callie, up in Wisconsin. I messaged him, and he got a hold of some of his friends through the grapevine there, and we found Doug here about 2 hours down the road. He's got a blood tracking dog, so we're going to go in there and see if we can pick up the trail and go to this buck. We think it's a fatal head, so we're going to continue to exhaust every option until we find him. Yeah, I bet they're home. Where's the dog? Okay. Oh, that's always great. Yeah, there is a freaking huge dog. He's definitely a porch guarder.
All right,
I'll go
don't get
ask.
bit.
He's guarding the porch.
So, the art of door knocking seems to be a little bit of a lost one. Well, they're coming out to him. Aaron didn't get bit by the dog. I'm going to try to see if this gentleman would allow us to walk through his property to get down to the public area that we were hunting, just to try to avoid having to do with the boat, and then give Ted and Jake a chance to get out and do their evening hunt. But we'll see how that goes. Aaron's pretty good at developing rapport, though, so I like our chances.
Yeah. I've got a yellow. Nice. Kash.
We're gonna go on a straight line back here. He's got cows in this back field.
Okay. Oh.
So how this kind of works is you're not, I mean, if you know, at the last area can be the hardest part of the track, because even though you don't step in inside the blood and everything, everybody's walking around. So what we can have is the dog work kind of meticulously around that area sometimes when we get there, and that can be the hardest part. And what we need him to do is commit and take an area out of there. Ideally we start here and we go to the deer, but there may be some times in between where I read the dog and he's not on. So we'll come back and I'll mark a note or something, and you know, if I have to let him do his job. If he's off, he's off. We'll realize it when we get to that point, and I'll bring him back to where I think he was last on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start him here. We'll let him work it out, and we'll just see what direction he's got to. I can't really tell him what to do. He's gonna do his own thing. So yeah. Here. Find it. Right here.
Yep. Another twist in the adventure begins. Got pretty lucky getting permission to walk in here by the landowner, which is really cool. And Kash is officially on the blood trail. We started him where I shot the deer and just kind of let him walk it out, but he's on it, and it took him about 22 seconds to find it, which I think is a good sign. I'm just crossing my fingers and man, hope we turn him up.
But this is right around where last blood was. The dog found it really fast, like within 10 minutes of starting. He found the last blood that took us 4 hours to find.
Yeah.
Just letting the dog work.
And best friend has taken over this
Yes, he has.
job.
Thankfully, because we were getting pretty worn out.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible how fast that dog got to this point. He sets really good expectations.
Yeah.
Which is kind of important in that kind of work, you know?
Oh, yeah. I think the deer's laying dead somewhere. I mean, it's very possible he's on the track right there going up the edge. You know, because he came right out of that. Right out of the cedars behind us, and the last blood we had was right in here somewhere. Going straight, and the dog took a line straight that way. It's a bed. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. This is nuts. I always kind of prided myself on being a pretty good deer tracker until I see this dog work. This thing's making us look stupid. There's a bed. This is the first bed we found. The dog is working out ahead of us right now. And where we found last blood last night is about 100 yards behind us. And that buck turned and veered out across all this tall grass and stuff. Definitely bed. It's a good sign. This is wild. If the thing's dead, he's gonna find it. He's doubling right back in where he came from. Shot him over there, went up and around. I'm glad we used that OnX track because that was easy to get the dog on it from the get-go, and then boom. And he went and he's made it probably 400 or 500 yards total at this point. tracks.
Yeah.
Fresher running tracks, yes. And blood here.
Fresh as a blood look.
Not fresh. Those are the same tracks we were following last night. Got more up here. See, that buck is doubling right back to where he come from. Think he's the one been making some of these rubs? Blood right through here.
You got blood there?
Uh-huh. Right down this trail.
Fresh?
No. And it's right down through here. I thought he was on it.
He was originally coming down this creek line.
Yeah, he's right.
Did you guys come through this section here?
Yeah.
Because he come across here at first. That's why I was asking.
Yep, he's right through
We
here.
didn't last night at all.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah, just now.
Uh,
But yeah, his track and blood right down this main trail coming down.
Find it.
You gotta be careful because if he's hitting the stomach.
Could, if we find wet, fresh blood,
We could be dealing with deer storm. That blood, that's what I was worried about, but that blood up there was dry that I just found.
Yeah, this one here was
We're gonna find him.
Well, I sure hope so.
We're gonna find him. He's gonna be laying dead up here. He's on a beeline for something. Wouldn't be surprised if we find him in the next couple beds. Been part of a lot of crazy tracks over the years. They're just so tough.
OnX tracker saying 0.62 miles so far. We've been on it for about just under an hour with the dog. These the tracking device is super handy though, because you get on a rodeo like this, especially at night. It's real easy to get turned around and not know where you've been, or a couple of you and your buddies get it, kind of compare and start using it for gridding purposes. Pretty valuable tool on this kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I got blood right here. We're back here in the center of a buck lair right now. We've come close to 7/10 of a mile. The dog is still working out ahead, but here's blood right here, Greg, another big drop. The dog is doing little half circles out in front of us with Doug. And we're back here following blood just real slow. And we've got it going up into this thicket. It's getting thicker and thicker where we're headed. There's a great big buck bed behind the camera right now with the rubs all in it. A couple hours yet before dark, but gotta think this thing's gonna be laying up here soon.
Yeah, so he was air scenting coming through this bottom, and he brought me over here, acting like he smells it again up on this hill. Now, I don't know if we're dealing with a live deer or not right now. See that? Let's see. There was a couple little puddles here. And I'm confident he has been in here. Like he was acting like there was a lot of scent in here. That's why he quit tracking. He was wanting to air scent. He did that the very first time. That's probably why we may have jumped him closer to the field.
Right.
We can't find a deer if he's not dead.
That's true.
I mean, I'm willing to keep going. We'll find out. I mean, you tell me, because I don't know what your situation is. Like, if you guys got to bail anyway, we're not hurting anything by going. But
Yeah, I mean,
He's gotta leave.
I gotta leave tomorrow, so.
yeah, well, I might be dead up here. I don't know. You know, it's just by that way he's acting, I would say not.
And we'll be here for a few more days. I mean, it's possible that I could come in here and find him, but you want to go see?
Yeah, I mean, we got nothing to lose, in my opinion.
Right. Doug's found more blood over here. Looks like fairly fresh blood, and he carries peroxide with him. And you're always finding little red spots on leaves and stuff that you're not sure are blood. If you spray it with peroxide, it turns white. You can tell. That's pretty cool. The issue right now is that we think the deer's hit the lower part of the stomach and that he's still alive. This is a full 24 hours later, and that he may be staying out ahead of us come 8/10 of a mile probably at this point. Without the dog, we'd never made it anywhere close to this far. We'd still be up there on our hands and knees tracking blood, trying to track blood, but it's that real watery blood. And Doug was explaining that that's what your stomach type hits usually have in them. When you look back at that shot, it's not, it's not very far off from where you want to be. Must have barely missed the liver and hit him in the center of the stomach. That's our best guess right now, but you can't find them if they're not dead.
Well, this camera's basically my last chance to get that buck. He used this trail a lot last year. He was here all the way through November. That's why I was hoping they'd still be up here, but I think we had less snow last year. So I'm gonna bust this open and check it out. Still alive. 198 photos. Come on, baby. I just want to see that buck on camera. I could care less if I get a chance to hunt him. Just to see him alive would be the best. There's a lot less deer in this area this year than there was last year. We got all the way back to September, so there's really not that many photos on this camera if we're all the way back to September. There's this weird buck throughout his right antler, just got a weird growth. He's been up here all summer. Ooh, a big bull elk. September 22nd. I have to start hunting elk up here. There always seems to be a few random elk that come through here. There's a big bull moose. Not a giant, but a nice one. Well, nothing on that camera, guys. No big buck. No big bucks at all. So I'm back to my tree stand. I'm going to climb the tree, take down my lifeline, my camera arm, and anything else that I need for the tree, for my other tree stand. Usually after I leave it up for a winter, I'll come back and put new straps on it next year, but for now, just climb this beast. And guys, I'm gonna race out of here. I probably won't film anything after this, so I'll see you at the dinner table. Well, there you have it. Decided to just come home and cook. Back to breakfast burritos, bacon, eggs, cheese, tortilla, wrapped up. I'm gonna have like 3 or 4 of those things, and I've already had 2 bowls of cereal. But yeah, I'm just home watching actually whitetail videos, hunting videos on YouTube, man. I spend a lot of time myself on YouTube. If you guys have any good ideas, or if you guys have any YouTube channels yourself, or any recommendations on some channels to watch, let us know. I'm always looking for new content, but this is a self-filmed whitetail hunt. Not sure what channel. I haven't heard from BMAC, so man, I don't know what the heck the deal is with that deer. It doesn't sound like they've found it yet. Bummer, man, huge bummer, but that's hunting. Just like the one I shot earlier this year. It's the way it goes. He got real hot, like he was air scenting deer in that corner, and we may have bumped him again there. And he brought me down here. I sent you that waypoint. It's just on the other side of this creek. I got a visual of a deer going across the creek on the right hand side of that. I think we should stop, and if you can come back later, that would be where you want to look. I think that's about as good as we can do. I really think there's a good chance that it's a deer we're after. Got it. I mean, he hasn't really stopped once we got up here, so yeah. But when we went on up, I heard up ahead. I heard him, and I seen a deer, but I
Was it running?
He went up the bank, but it wasn't like a flagged up running deer.
Right.
It was like it went up the bank and kind of.
I
couldn't tell if he was laboring or not, but it was like there was just a deer, and it looked like he went up a bank and just kind of. And I stopped right there, and that's why I backed off a little bit.
About 2.5, almost 3 hours, I guess, into our track. My OnX is 1.1 miles.
That's how far the deer's traveled.
Yeah, and Doug and Kash stopped right here. Got a visual on a deer. The dog was hot on going back into this corner, so.
You saw it just slinking off, kind of.
Yeah, it wasn't a high-tailed hop run, a fleeing deer.
Right.
You know, it was
He's just
staying ahead, and everything the dog was saying was that he was there.
Man, it sucks. Sucks bad. But man, we've done, I feel like everything humanly possible to try to find this deer.
we're not done yet necessarily. I mean, Doug saw him go in there, and there's a very small piece of thick cover that he's headed into, and we're not going to push him anymore. You've got to leave, but I'll try to come back in here in the next few days and grid it a little bit and look, maybe I can come up with him, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very possible.
But the deer's still alive at this point.
Yeah, if we continue to push him now, or you could open a whole nother can of worms. At least we
Right.
know there's a possibility he's in a certain area.
Yeah, and you know, odds are good that I don't find him still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just something that a lot of bow hunters face a lot of times. And that hit is very close to being good, you know, right in there. It's just one of those deals.
It's not a fun deal.
I think you guys have exhausted every option.
Well, I'm fully
Using
confident.
The dogs, I appreciate that.
I think, I mean, just watching you guys work with the dog, like, if he's dead, he's going to find him.
No, it's usually the case.
If you guys find yourself in a tough situation, you should look Doug up. How do you find, what's that website with all the people on it?
The UnitedBloodTrackers.org, anywhere in the country, put in their geographic location,
Right.
and they can, you can find a tracker near you.
Man, it's...
I mean, I'll tell you right now, there's no way we would have even been in the ballpark. I mean, we're pretty stubborn. We would have come out here and been out here all day and then all night again and probably tomorrow, and we would have not even made it half this far.
No.
You know?
I think it's great that out west there's not as nearly as many states that allow the use of dogs. I hope that changes.
Iowa, believe it or not, you can't.
Really?
Use a leash dog, no.
No kidding.
No.
Crazy.
So we track in Iowa, or I mean Illinois, Missouri, and sometimes Indiana.
Gosh, I hope they change it. It's truly a game changer in recovering an animal.
No, there's hundreds and hundreds of animals that are able to put a tag on, you know, that wouldn't otherwise be.
How many do you typically track in a season?
Between 80 and 100 usually in a season the last couple of years. So, you know, we usually put between 25 and 30. You know, that's on the tailgate, we call it. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, we tracked for 3.5 hours last night and made it 150 yards, and that dog covered all of it in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, less than 5.
That dog made it a half a mile on this deer's track in less than an hour.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Like I said, how quickly you got out here and how hard you guys worked.
You know, and
it means a lot, for sure.
If we didn't have the intel that we have right now, we would still be tracking him. But at this point, this is the best decision, is to get out of here and then leave him. He's not dead. Got a lot of respect for you guys, though, for staying after it, man. There's a lot of folks that wouldn't. That's the thing. You gotta...
Likewise, man. You guys have...
If you commit to bow hunting, you gotta accept the reality of it sometimes, that you're gonna run into this type of thing. And you just gotta keep grinding. If it's not gonna be all roses, you know, definitely not. That's the reality of it. But based on Doug's recommendations, we're gonna give this deer another day, possibly longer. I'm either gonna come in tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening looking for him, or the following morning, and see if we can come up with him. We know the general direction that he went. We just saw him. We'll check that, and hopefully he's expired in the next day and a half. So based on that hit and what you found as far as the blood and the sort of watery blood.
So basically your liver sits in the back of the lungs, and there's this lower green part is a stomach, and it can give you a bright watery blood, and it's a fluid. The reason it's watery is because it has stomach fluid in it, like digestive fluid.
Right.
So a lot of times that's when the blood will look really, really thin and watery, stays wet for a long time, and it is typical of what we see. Sometimes you get more blood than others, but if you look back at that video, I think that's exactly
real close
exactly
to where that
where
arrow
he
was
hit.
hit.
That was my concern, that we may be dealing with a live deer. You know. So this green area is that part of the stomach. This is your intestines. This is also, you know, with time, but usually we give them 24 here, and they're dead either in 12 or 24, but they'll expire. This one, that stomach hit, in my experience, has been a long process. You know, sometimes we come back after 24 hours, and you know, we have to give them another 12 or 24, or even more sometimes, and we can still get them. There's no guarantees.